It's Chief John Carmichael of the new police department. This is Mayor Ruthanne Fuller. We're here today just to, I know we had a post on social media earlier regarding a couple of our officers who were injured last night, and they're recovering right now after being released from Newton Wellesley Hospital overnight. Our thoughts are with them right now as they recover. One of our officers suffered a concussion after being punched several times during an arrest. The other officer, who was also punched in the back of the head, is also recovering. So our thoughts right now are with them and in their recovery, as well as with the victim that was involved in this case, who was also assaulted. I can give you a quick rundown of what happened. Last night about 10 p.m. we received a call for an assault that took place. Our officers responded to that call, and on arrival they encountered a suspect who ran into an apartment within the apartment building. The officers proceeded to follow that individual into a bedroom, advising that person that they were under arrest. At that time, the individual got up onto a bed and was obviously started to tell officers that we were not going to be allowed to take him into custody. The officers then went to place him under arrest when he began to punch the officers, and a violent struggle ensued between the individual and the officers. That ended up being a time when the individual was brought down onto the ground, and at some point he punches one of our officers in the side of the head, and then during that struggle tries to remove one of our officers' firearms from their duty holster. The officers continued to struggle with them. They fell down on the floor. There was a coffee table that was broken. This individual was obviously not prepared to be taken into custody and was willing to actively assault our officers during that arrest. During this encounter, they were ultimately able to get him in handcuffs, place him under arrest, and even after still being handcuffed, he still assaulted one of our officers, and again reached and got a hold of one of their firearms, trying to remove it from the holster. So this is just a situation that our officers face every day. They go to these types of calls, and they're very unpredictable and very dynamic. And I appreciate the work that they do every day when they respond to these calls to keep victims safe and to keep our community safe. Would you like to add anything?
I'll add, I'm Ruthanne Fuller, Mayor here in Newton. I was here a few days ago. Sergeant Melanie Rooney was being honored after 23 years on the force because she and our social worker, Sarah Aknayan, have stood up with the support of the chief, a problem-oriented policing unit that does follow up with just these types of situations. Domestic abuse, substance use, and mental health issues. I'm back here today because even with all that important work, I am so proud that we have line patrol officers who, when a domestic violence 911 call comes in, they respond. They are there. They made sure the victim was okay. They arrested this alleged perpetrator in a safe way. They took the brunt of the violence. I am thinking of the two of them and their families and hoping for a speedy recovery. I couldn't be more proud of our police department and our officers.
Any questions?
At what point this happened
I cannot disclose the address, but I can say that it did happen on Watertown Street.
Were the officers wearing body cams? Was it captured on any sort of video?
The officers were not wearing body cameras. However, the department and the city, we are working towards implementing a body-worn camera program. We're going to do a pilot, and we expect that to take place this summer.
How do incidents like these factor into the decision to have cameras on your officers? I'm sure that has to play a role.
Well, we've already made that decision. that we would like to implement body cameras, but we do want to get the input from our community, and that's why we're going to do a pilot program. We'll put those out there, and we're going to work with the community to see what the best type we should have and whether or not it's the right decision for our city.
What charges is something domestic violence?
The individual did sustain some injuries, but I can't get into really all of the information about it.
Is this particularly dangerous for officers to respond to DV calls in comparison to any other kind of call?
Yes, domestic violence calls are probably one of the most dangerous calls a police officer could go on. The job itself is obviously inherently dangerous, but these are very dangerous types of calls, as you can see in this particular case.
Has the suspect been charged?
He was charged with two counts of assault and battery on a police officer, as well as 2 counts of attempting to disarm a police officer and then resisting arrest.
How much information did the officers have going into the situation from the 911 call? Was it something where they were going into the relative unknown, or did they have information to kind of know what to expect?
The information that they had was that the victim had been punched in the face, and that's what they were responding to.
You said officers were assaulted after the suspect was put in handcuffs.
That's correct.
Can you elaborate?
After we was finally subdued and placed into handcuffs, the individual was being let out, and having his hands behind his back, he was still able to grab onto one of the officers' firearms, which was holstered at the time, and also set off the emergency button on the portable radio.
Last question.
Was you mentioning the 2 officers that were responding to the call?
I'm sorry?
Was it just these 2 officers?
No, there were several officers that were on scene for this call, and then several officers responded as well after a request for more additional units was put out.
Anyone else?
Can you identify
When you
this?
first arrived,
The suspect was outside. Was he outside trying to run away, or was he just out of the house?
He was not trying to run away, but he did retreat back into the apartment building and into a bedroom.
How large is the suspect? It sounds like he's very tall.
The suspect was large enough, I would say. He does have a history with assault and battery on police officers, as well as some other violent acts. So we're familiar with that individual.
Can you identify the suspect?
Not at this time, due to the fact that the law does prohibit us from.
And I'm happy to give background on information on that law.
Are they with a particular unit?
Nope.
Do you have a dedicated domestic violence unit or something to that effect?
They're part of the patrol bureau. All right, thank you.